Okay, everyone, welcome to our first town hall of the year. This is the school council town hall, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this session. And again, I just want to remind everybody that we do have interpretation, Gujarati and Ukrainian interpretation that's available by clicking on the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. So I'd like to start off with the land acknowledgement. And if you can stand, that would be good as well. And the land we are meeting on is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and now is a home to many diverse nations, Inuit and Métis people. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and the Chippewa bands. Thank you. Now we'll go over the conversation agreement. Michelle, are you on board?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Good evening, everyone. I am so pleased to be here. I am Michelle Monroe, Central Coordinator for Parent-Caregiver Engagement with the Toronto District School Board. Let me just begin by extending my thanks and appreciation to each and every one of you, school council members, school council chairs, parents, caregivers. So pleased that you've decided to just spend the next hour and a half with us. So as we're having this conversation, we just ask just a couple of things, that you stay engaged with us, right? That you recognize the way in which you're engaging in this conversation is framed by your experiences. And so those experiences are going to frame how you think, the questions you ask, the way in which you post those questions. So I just ask that you keep that at the forefront of your mind always. So you're thinking about how you frame questions or comments throughout the evening. That there may be things that we relay that may not be what you agree or disagree with. So we just ask that you expect to be challenged and be okay with that, and that we can have a dialogue about it, that you speak your truth, but you keep in mind that that is solely yours, and what may be yours may not be everyone else's. And we need to provide space for that always when we gather in spaces like this or come together, so we can have conversations, and expect that we're sharing information tonight. But there's going to be more things happening as we emerge throughout the school year, and as we come up with activities or events for school councils, that there'll be more that we will be sharing with you throughout the school year. So we may not get to everything this evening. So be open to that non-closure. And, you know, we know many of you have been councils for a very long time, so we're just asking you that be open to learn something this evening. And if you know it, you know, you're already saying to yourself, is there something that's being said tonight that I may want to reflect on and take deeper? So I look forward to our further conversation, and thank you again for being with us.
Thank you, Michelle. And I just want to do introductions. My name is Ricardo Francis. I am in the Parent Caregiver Engagement Office, and I'm a Parent Caregiver Community Engagement Worker. And I also like to introduce Kevin Permal. Kevin?
Hi, how are you? So my name is Kevin Permal. I'm the manager of the Toronto District School Board's Client Service Desk. And I'm going to be speaking to you shortly about some of the changes for school council accounts.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so we have a poll question. And I'm just going to bring that up for everyone. Just 1 second. Come on. Okay, I'm just going to launch the poll question. You should see it. For some, you'll see it at the bottom of your screen. Some will see it side of your screen. I'm just going to give 2 minutes for everyone to answer the question. And the question again is, what contributed to the early success of your school council? And please see the poll. Is everybody able to see it? And you can respond. Yeah. One more minute left. And we're ending the poll. Thank you for your responses. I'm going to share the results. Okay, so we're going to continue on with our presentation. And this is our new branding. It's called School Council Opportunities for Progress and Enrichment. This includes a variety of workshops, toolkits, and later we're going to be having an ambassador program for parents for leadership roles. And our agenda for today is we're going to go through the PCO updates, followed by the school council email with Kevin Permal, and the PCO updates with Michelle Monroe. And we're going to explore the different toolkits that we're going to be providing to you, give you an update on the innovation grant, and then we're going to speak to the importance of bylaws, and hopefully we can engage in some open and reflective dialogue and sharing opportunities. Okay. Michelle?
Thank you, Ricardo. So just before we get specifically to discussing school councils, I thought I would just take an opportunity to just tell you a bit about what we're up to in the Parent and Community Engagement Office. Next slide, please, Ricardo. So if you've done this with me before, you know that one of the things I always want us to get council thinking about is that we're in a context where we are just not privileged to continue the work the way we've always done it. And that we're being challenged, we being us as a district, but you as school council leaders, parents and caregivers to begin to really look at the way in which you're leading council, participating in council, volunteering in council, simply due to what's happening globally, but what's also coming very close to home locally within schools across the Toronto District School Board. Next slide. So I think it's important as school council leaders, chairs, co-chairs, you sit on the executive or parents and caregivers, members, that you reflect on your work within the context of our globe. And I say globe, but also meaning in the context of what's happening right here in our local city, right? We know that technology is driving our students' work, but also each of us and our city in a different way. We also know that we're seeing migration in a way that we've never seen it. We're seeing issues in terms of needs, sovereignty, food insecurity in the ways we've never seen it. We're seeing wars and struggles throughout our globes in the way in which we've never seen it. And so the question for us, particularly my school council members and leaders, is how do we do what we do, recognizing what's happening around us? Next slide. And recently, a colleague of mine shared this with me in terms of a perspective of what's happening with residents in Toronto, but I'm going to say with parents and caregivers within Toronto, right? And this stats had me reflecting on what are we doing and how are we prioritizing and supporting the audience in which we serve, who may be parents and caregivers for us in the TDSB, but Torontonians largely, when we're seeing this kind of statistics. I'm not going to go through all of them. I just wanted it because when we're hearing that 50% of our parents or caregivers worry about themselves or their families for having full-time work or stable work, 50% of adults feel depressed, 30% were among loneliest Canadians, 22% of workers feel burnt out and exhausted. These are the parents and caregivers now that councils we're engaging, we're working with, we're trying to get motivated to volunteer. And so I put this forward to us so we're thinking about, are we able to continue business as usual, or do we have to start doing something different? Next slide. So this one says that we can't continue in the old ways because old ways won't open new doors. And so if you find yourself leading council and you're now reflecting on what are our plans for this year, what are our key activities, who is going to do them, how are we going to do them, I'm encouraging and challenge you to think about what have we always done? And you begin your conversation of what you've always done to then think about the next question. Is that the best way? Is that going to meet the needs of our parents or caregivers audience? Is that going to respond to what our parents are saying they need at this time? Is that the direction of some of the priorities for our school? And in answering those questions, I'm encouraging you to push yourself to think about what can we do differently? And how do we need to do it differently to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all of our parents and caregivers, particularly during this period? Next slide. So I wanted to present this slide because throughout all that we do, I just want to encourage our council that during this period, it's so amazing that we begin to think about in the things that we're volunteering and the activities that we do, how are we unearthing joy for the parents and caregivers that we serve, right? Because we want them to be earthing joy, engagement, feeling a self of belonging, right? And what can we do to be sure that all of our parents and caregivers who volunteers council, sitting council, sit on council, part of the exec, participate in a council event, leaves feeling this way. Next slide.
Oh.
So I wanted to position, what we're doing as a board, and what that looks differently for us this year, and just really toot your horns and parents and caregivers across this district horns about our multi-year strategic plan. So as you know, the board unveiled a new multi-year strategic plan, our plan, and these are the key pillars of that plan. Key pillars are belonging, revitalize, achieve, and thrive. And what I want to say that's exciting for the first time in our district, when you take a look at our multi-year strategic plan, and in every one of these pillars, you will find one of the goals that is connected and linked to parents and caregivers and engagement. So if you've not had the opportunity to look at our multi-year strategic plan, take a look at it. It is on our website, www.tdsb.on.ca. And when you get there, you could just do a search for the multi-year strategic plan. So you're probably thinking, Michelle, why does this matter? Why does this matter that after all these years in each of the board's pillar, we're now speaking of parent and caregiver engagement and making a commitment as a district to embed it in the way in which we do work? It's important because it can help guide your work at the local school level. It's important because it speaks to our staff about the importance of thinking about this work at the school level, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the school, whether it's in the school council, that the district is committed to ensuring that parents and caregivers are recognized and acknowledged for the work that they do, but also that our plans include their particular engagement and their collaboration and their partnership. So the fact now that it's a part of our plan leads to us to the next step of the question and comments that's always out there that I hear a lot, Michelle. How do we begin to look at the pieces of accountability around engagement across our district? And I truly believe that this is one of the key tools for that, where we can now look at the key pillars in revitalize, achieve, and belonging, look at what the key statement is for parent and caregiver engagement, and begin to look at tools across how we begin to move in terms of measuring and set standards around what that looks like at the various level. Next slide. So some activities that I just wanted to let you know about in our office. So we started a school council roundtable last year, and this is just inviting school council members from across the district who's interested in providing guidance to our office in terms of the task and the work that we do. We're looking to expand that roundtable. So if you're interested, you may connect with Ricardo, because we're hoping that we'll be able to have a meeting soon to begin to figure out what that work and focus will be for this year. Brand new, we are in the position of rolling out a parent caregiver system engagement survey. This has come about because you may be aware of the last TDSB census survey, where a lot of the parent caregiver engagement questions were removed from that survey. And one of the things our research department had committed to was, we know we've not done a survey for parent caregivers, guardians across the board on engagement for a long time. And therefore they had committed to ensuring that we engage in one. So we're in the conversation stages now of the parent caregiver engagement survey for the system. We do have a committee of parents, but if there's any council member who is interested in being a part of that table, please let us know as we think about how we begin to fine tune the survey, but also look at how we roll it out to get maximum parent caregiver participation. The other exciting initiative I wanted to talk about is our office is in its second year of rolling out the online interpretation translation program. And this is a program catered to parents and caregivers, newcomer multilingual parents and caregivers who is interested in being trained to become an interpreter or translator for the board. You know, being one of the largest boards in Canada and about the fourth in North America, representing over 100 countries, we speak over 80 languages. There are languages at times where we can't get from our external partners or interpreters. And so we thought within the Toronto District School Board, we have a vast of parents and caregivers who come with multi-languages that we could actually maximize and benefit from that asset. And so this program emerged from that thought in terms of getting our parents and caregivers engaged, those who are multilingual, who are interested in the field of interpretation translation. A gentle reminder to school councils that interpretation translation is available for your meetings. And I encourage that where you need it, it is used, because it provides an opportunity and access for parents and caregivers to be involved and get engaged in council. A gentle reminder, our conference is coming up, the annual Parent Caregivers Partners Conference. It's coming up Saturday, November 16th. We've been putting information out, so please just block your calendar for that. And registration will be live soon, and we will be resharing that information to all councils, chairs, and school once we go live. Conversation series comes out of our office, and the conversation series is an opportunity to bring speakers that some councils may not be able to bring, to talk and tackle conversations and issues that we usually hear from parents and caregivers that they want to hear about. And so please look out for the conversation series. We'll be sharing that. We'll effectively, the first speaker of the conversation series we will be featuring at the conference, and that'll be Glenn Singleton. We're so thrilled to have him at our conference for this year. And so we certainly hope that you will keep an eye and watch out for the series and the conference. And I believe that was it for me, Ricardo. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Go back to PIAC, please, just one more. I just wanted to take the opportunity to talk about the board's Parent Involvement Advisory Committee. PIAC is the advisory committee that actually advises the Board of Trustees. They are elected at the ward level by the trustees. There are a number of vacancies on the Parent Involvement Advisory Committee, and they are looking for parents and caregivers to get involved. To be on PIAC, you must have a child registered within the Toronto District School Board. In order to run for a ward in PIAC, you must live within the ward, your child must live within the ward, or your child must attend a school in the ward to be eligible to sit on PIAC. If you want to learn more about it, please just visit our main page and just Google for PIAC to get a sense of who they are and what they do, because you may be interested in being a PIAC rep for your ward. They also provide a fabulous school council kit for school councils. In our last communication, we had shared their links with all schools and school council contacts that we had. So please visit their own personal website as well, because they're vast resources to parents and caregivers across the board. Thank you, Ricardo. So what I'll do now is I'll just tag team and I'll just turn it over to Kevin, and Kevin will be speaking to you about school council email accounts. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you so much. Let me just share my screen briefly. Wonderful. All right, so thank you. Good evening. My name is Kevin Permal, and I'm the manager of the Toronto District School Board's Client Service Desk. We provide IT support to over 40,000 staff members here at the TDSB, and most recently expanded our support offerings to school communities via the School Community IT Support Team. First off, I would like to recognize and thank you all for the important work that you do. The role that you play in supporting our students and communities makes a significant impact in their lives and well-being. Today, I would like to share with you some changes that are coming to the school council accounts, as well as the support process. All right, so a copy of my slides can be accessed here. There's a link on your screen, and there's also a QR code. So if you have a camera available, you can just snap a picture of that, and it'll take you directly to the slides for today. So I'll pause for about 15 seconds so you can do that. Oh, sorry, Ricardo, if you are speaking, you are on mute.
I was just wondering if you could also put that link in the chat for us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Just bear
Thank
with
you.
me for 1 second. I wish I would have been more prepared. Sorry about that. All right, there's the link. Thank you. All right, so my agenda for today is to discuss some of the changes that are coming to the school council account and the changes coming to the support process. So what is changing? School council members will no longer have an individual account. For those returning members, you may recognize this account, which is starts with a P and has a bunch of zeros at the end of it. Instead, each school council will receive a single account that will be shared between the chair, co-chair, and vice chair. This account will be reused year after year once new members are elected, and we will be communicating the account details every year once the new members are elected. Okay. So what access will the new account have? Each account will have access to Microsoft Outlook on the web for email, Microsoft 365 Online, which includes things like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, Microsoft Teams to facilitate virtual meetings for your school communities, School Messenger for community broadcasts to be used in conjunction with your school, and Wi-Fi access when you go to a TDSB location. So, how do you get an account? After elections are held, principals will report the results to the PC CEO, who will then provide the information to IT services. Our teams here at IT services will create the accounts, and the email account credentials will then be sent to the personal email addresses which are on file for the elected school council members. We anticipate that the account information will be shared for the current group later this month. So for any returning members, what happens to your old account? Your existing individual accounts will be inaccessible on October 31st, 2024. So you have a couple weeks to still use them and to make sure that you get any of them. And then at that time, there will be a little bit of overlap, but at that time, the new accounts will be fully used and you'll continue to use that going forward. So any email that is in the school council shared mailbox will be migrated to the new account by IT services. So all of your old existing mail as part of that shared mailbox will be there in your new account. But any email that was in your previous individual account will not be migrated. This is because that is only for that individual member and nothing that is meant for the entire school council. So if you would like to retain any of that email, we encourage you to forward it to your school council shared mailbox, and then it will be migrated over by IT services. How do we get support? So we do recognize that in past years, it has been challenging for council members to obtain support from IT services. So we're happy to share with you that all support for school council members will be provided by IT services or TDSB's IT services through our school community IT support team. We can be reached at 416-396-9100 from Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We also have a website there that outlines, we have some FAQs and also outlines the ways in which you can contact us. You can log a ticket through a Google form as well if you require support outside of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we will be looking at also offering email support going forward, since we will be taking on the support of school council accounts, because we do realize that parents may not be able to contact us during our open hours. You will be able to contact us for things like resetting your password, assistance with logging into your account, setting up your email on your phone, etc. So any of those things that you may need assistance with, you can contact us and we'll be able to help with that. Okay, and that's it. That's the high level of what's going to be happening and how we can help you. Are there any questions for me?
Kevin,
that I can...
there is a question in the Q&A.
Sure.
Somebody's asking, are you the person we should contact if we want to add a blocking service on our tablets in the school?
So a blocking service on the tablets. When you say tablets in the school, do you mean just student devices?
There is no name. It's an anonymous attendee who submitted this.
So how about you speak to both? Student devices? I think it has to be related to student devices.
Sure. So if there is a need to block websites on your child's device, or any student for that matter, you can contact your principal to request a blocking service for those devices, specifically Chromebooks. We have an application that we're currently using called Bloxy, and we might be moving to a new application in the near future. But basically the school needs to submit that request on your behalf, and they will pay for it and make sure that it's licensed and applied to your child's account and their device.
There's another question from Joseph. Will the Google Drive documents be migrated as well?
I will make a note of that. My understanding is that there is no current Google account access for these accounts, but I will verify that, and I will, if there is one that's attached to the individual account, we will make sure that that is transferred over as well.
And I've got another question from Amir, and it's, whom do we contact for support desk with school messenger issues?
So School Messenger, they actually maintain their own help desk for creating broadcasts and things like that. I can share that phone number with you. Give me 1 second.
And while Kevin is looking, just to let you know that we will be posting literature on accessing School Messenger once we transition over. The School Messenger unit has provide information for you in terms of step-by-step how to access and how to stream messages with School Messenger. So that will be putting out soon and posted on the TDSB School Council site, so you'll be able to access that information. Sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
No problem. I'm going to throw that in the chat right now. Okay, and then you can reach out to them for support with creating community broadcasts and things like that. On the school council chair support website, which we've created, we also do have those instructions posted there. I'm going to add a link to that as well in the chat. You can go there and you'll see a section on login to and use School Messenger. You can click on that. Please excuse us because there are some outdated contact information there. We haven't yet updated it with the new contact information for our team, but we will be updating that shortly.
Before I ask the next question, I just want to remind everyone that this is a school council town hall, but I'm going to allow this question to go through. Do you also assist with TDSB student logins, TDSB excursion help?
Yes, that's correct. So this support, our school community IT support, we do assist with parents in creating accounts for excursion management, assistance with accessing report cards when they are sent out, creating creating and accessing Brightspace for parents, and any of those general support questions. We are able to help with those as well. And
this question is from Alana. Is there training available for Teams? I'm Microsoft Teams as our meeting platform. How do we allow presenters to share their screen if they don't have a TDSB email?
So we do have on that school council support page that I posted, there is a link for instructions on using Microsoft Teams, including setting options for the meeting and securing your meeting. So you should be able to find everything you need there, specifically for external participants. I don't have that information on the top of my head. I didn't brush up on that before the meeting, but somebody, if you do contact us tomorrow, we'll be more than happy to help.
I've got a message from Ronit. We heard about blocks, but I called the TDSB IT and they said it does not block YouTube. The principal said would not pay for it. Oh, I guess I'm not sure as to what the block is referring to in this
Yeah,
question.
so Blocksy is an application that's used for internet filtering.
Okay.
And so it's up to the parent. Once set up on the child's account, the parent will receive a management portal, which they can log into and set up filtering. This does include YouTube filtering as well, so they can restrict content on YouTube, social media, gaming, etc. You can also set time limits and things of that nature. So we do have that information through our school community IT support website. There's an FAQ section there, and you should be able to find a section called TDSB Chromebook Parental Controls, and you can get all of the information you need. Blocksy also has their own help desk, which can help you with a more specific technical support if you're having trouble setting up that filtering. But in terms of requesting it and paying for it, that request should be made through the school, and the school is the one who would submit that request and pay for it.
I've got a question from Hala. Will the new school council emails allow us, the school councils, to share information directly with the community?
Absolutely. So this is a mailbox that is connected to your school council shared mailbox as well. So any messages that are sent to that mailbox will be in this account. And you will be able to send externally. So it's not limited to TDSB only. You do have the ability to send mail to your entire community. You would have to maintain your own distribution list of parent community email addresses because we don't have that information on file in a way that's set up for each individual account. But those reports could be run through the school office. So yes, you can send emails directly through that, but I believe the recommended way is to send out email broadcasts through school messenger for any important communications and fundraising and things like that.
Kevin, I still have a few more questions.
No worries.
This message is from Laura. With the new system, if there's no Google Docs access, what is the suggested way for councils to share and forward on key documents and budgets? And I'm going to add to that, where are they going to be able to store those documents?
So absolutely. Microsoft 365 Online, that does have those same tools, a word processor, Microsoft Word, Excel, which is a replacement for Sheets, and PowerPoint. It also has OneDrive storage, so all of your documents will be shared in there or will be stored in your OneDrive, and you'll have sufficient storage as well. You can share any documents externally as well, and all of that can be documents can be archived in there for future use as well.
And another one from Neelam. Can this email account be shared with the community for direct AVVWs to parent council?
I think that's like direct contact to parent council. So can they share the access to the TDSB shared school council email account with people outside of who was originally signed up for it?
No, we encourage only registered users to use this. So council chair, vice chair, co-chairs, those are the only ones who should have access. You should not be sharing that outside of that group of the school council. And maybe Michelle and your team, maybe you can clarify that for the proper use or improper use of that account. Something maybe we can document and put forward.
Would that be an online code of conduct type of thing?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way.
And here's a question. It's a comment from Samir. As a school council co-chair, I've been successful using the school council messenger to send out blasts to parents for the last 3 years. I share the message with the principal first for visibility, then send it directly via school messenger to all parents. So it's just telling, advising school councils how to go about utilizing the school messenger via the principal. And the other one is anonymous regarding student logins and excursions. I'm asking because a lot of parents come to us for help logging on, but we don't know where to send them, and we don't get support from our administration.
Absolutely. So any parent can contact us via these support channels that I'm putting up on the screen again. We are available to assist with excursion management and filling out those permission forms. So if you're having any issues, please report it there, and we'll be able to escalate it if needed, if there's a wider issue or if there's an individual account access issue.
Okay. And this message is from Majda. What is the email or contact number? Oh, to reach you. You've already put that in the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
I see the comment there about CASEL guidelines. When emailing the community directly, do emails comply with CASEL guidelines? How does that apply? In the start of your forms, parents do have to declare that they opt in to CASEL and that they will receive email communication, and any email that is on record for contact, that should be available through School Messenger.
Okay, perfect. Another question from Andrea is, can the council secretary or treasurer have access to the email?
I think that your survey said chair, co-chair, or vice chair, correct, Kevin?
Correct, but ultimately it's a shared account. So each council should choose with discretion who they share the account with. The same way that you would be sharing an account with any sort of trusted member. I believe that discretion can be made at the school council level, and we'll leave it there. But just be aware that the more people that you share it with, there is more potential for improper usage.
Okay.
We would prefer that only register, like at least from a support perspective, when a user would contact us for support with these accounts, we will be verifying the account information or that you are a registered user in order to obtain support. So somebody wouldn't be able to call in and reset the password if they're not on that list of approved members that is provided to us.
So I've got an anonymous request. Does this apply to Cash Online as well?
We do not assist with School Cash Online, but I do believe they have their own help desk. I can find that for you, and I can post the information in there.
Schools also have a financial support officer who they can reach out to with any questions about that. So if you have a financial question, contact your principal and they should be able to direct you to your school's finance support officer.
Okay, and then I'm posting the contact information for School Cash Online Parent Help Desk.
Okay, and this question is from Laura. Now that we have this this OneDrive, how do we who's going to assist with the migration of from the Google Drive to the OneDrive?
So that is the second time that the Google Drive was mentioned. So I'm just going to make a note here to follow up on that, and we will communicate that when we send out the account details to the registered members.
And the final question is, and we're going to close off with this one. Where can we find the information regarding the new accounts and any document storage after this meeting? It would be handy in the future to have this reference.
So let me just go back to the first page, and you can grab a link to my slides. The information will or is here from my presentation. What I can do is some of the questions that were asked here, I can add a new slide at the end of it that has a little bit of an FAQ for some of those things that were asked and maybe communicate that. But also for any of those registered users, we will be sending out that communication with the account details, and we'll also have some more information for you about some of these questions that were asked tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Kevin, for your updates on this. He's also shared his contact information. You can also reach out to myself, Ricardo Francis. My email is also in the chat for further information.
Okay, I will also put my contact information in here in case anybody has another question that I did not address here today. Okay. Thank you to everyone. It was a pleasure presenting. And if you have any more questions, by all means, reach out.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
Okay, we're getting back to the presentation, and we're going to go to our next poll question. How would you rate the election process at your school?
Ricardo, you're not sharing anything?
I'm not sharing?
No.
Oh. Just one moment, please. Okay. Yeah, I hope everybody can see it now. How would you, actually, I'm gonna put in. How would you rate the election process for your school council? I'm just going to go to the poll for right now and open the poll for you. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes for everyone to answer it. I'm launching it now. Okay, we're coming to the end of the poll. Thank you very much for your responses. We'll be sharing that at a later date. Now we'll move to the next slide. And today we're going to be speaking about school council bylaws and the importance of the bylaws. And one of the things about the bylaws, it's a document, and hopefully all of you have seen the bylaws at your school. If you're a part of school council, they provide a clear structure as to how things should be run and clarifies the role of each person and allows for how each person should contribute. The other part about the school council bylaws, it keeps everybody on track. Although, you know, these you're by following the rules of the ministry, which is outlined in Regulation 612, and also the requirements of the TDSB. And it's just good practice to follow the bylaws. And the other thing too is when we speak about the bylaws is really about welcoming every voice and utilizing it as a tool to increase that diversity in your group, as well as a tool. Well, not even as a tool, but really to encourage participation and recruitment. And Michelle spoke a lot earlier about building capacity, and this is one of the things when you're trying to reach out to individual groups, those especially those individuals that you find are not participating. It's just to reach out to them and make them feel welcome in the group. And when I speak about the welcoming, the next point being creating safe space where, you know what, where we set aside our biases and stereotypes and really work towards working harmoniously together with others that we aren't as familiar with and we don't know as well, but really to encourage that belonging and understanding of other people in the group, in your groups. And the other thing is really to build strong connections. And the bylaws support this, but in terms of improving student achievement and bonds with parents and caregivers and school community. The other thing I also would encourage is those bonds with your administration and staff to move forward in terms of because the whole idea of the school council is to really be able to advocate and bring ideas to the administration as to the needs of the school, and you can utilize the bylaws as a tool. And when we're speaking about the bylaws, in terms of creating those bylaws, one of the things that you can really utilize is the Regulation 612, as well as the TDSB policies and procedures, as well as the sample of the council bylaws, which I just realized I have I'm going to put that in later, is because it's on my screen into the chat. But this would be a way of providing you with the opportunity tools to help you in terms of creating those bylaws. And the other resources that you can utilize is our parent, caregiver, community engagement workers, which are only at our models, our model schools, that can help in terms of creating those bylaws, and as well as, of course, our office, the Parent Community Engagement Office, that is available to you in support of your bylaws and providing guidance. And also there's the school council handbook. And when we speak about the when you're doing the bylaws, one of the things is, and although you have to do it within the constraints of Regulation 612 is really, when you're thinking about it, is when you're creating those bylaws, how are they going to really work for your school? Like if for instance, if you have a school council and you put in your bylaws, the membership is only going to be 7. Well, if you have difficulty with people participating, then you're going to have difficulty with quorum, which is half plus 3. So you'd have to have 4. So it's something better in your bylaws to have a greater membership, but then you also have to think about the participation as a way of ensuring that you're meeting quorum. And then the other things is just outline what the general expectations of your of the membership. And really, when you're dealing with bylaws, really look into what worked for that school community, for your school community, by asking questions and really surveying the community. Because when you're creating the bylaw, they don't stop on with your term, they go forward. So the bylaw should, although you can review them, should have some level of longevity that will work for everybody. And one of the things that I'm going to speak to is really, and this isn't just about bylaws, this is about engaging and empowering the voices of, and what we talk about is we encourage open communication. So that when we're saying about open communication, we allow people to share their thoughts, like, and have the ability to feel heard. Sometimes I'm going to use myself as an example. Sometimes I get really hot about an issue, and I'm really, and then I start to dominate. I always think, am I allowing space for others to speak? And really encourage that to happen. The other thing is, for some people, working in a large environment isn't good for them. Intimate settings are better for them and are quieter. And the other way of creating that is sometimes, or it could be, they don't want to come to school council because the subjects, the things that are being shared aren't things that they're really concerned with, but they are concerned with other things, like possibly they want to have a STEM event, that sort of thing. So you could have these small subcommittees that work on behalf of with the school council, but separately, but report their ideas to the school council chair. And the other thing is to really encourage have activities, and like you can mix up the way that you do your presentations at school council to really work on providing people other different opportunities to participate. And one of the things you could go through brainstorming sessions, listening circles, role play, and other ways of engaging in dynamic conversations. And the other thing too, and I'm just going to speak to when you're talking about defining clear goals, and it's to give people the understanding of what the actual focus is, what are the goals and practical solutions to achieve whatever you want to do. The other thing when we're defining these clear goals, and one of the things that I really speak to is this whole idea of when you asking, especially for volunteers or other people to participate, and we say to them, "Oh, do you want to do X?" Well, that's all fine and dandy, but what we haven't done is tell them what is involved in doing X. What is the time commitment that is involved in that, so that you can actually get people involved. So if you're saying, "Oh, I'd like you to help us with pizza lunch," well, it's going to be, we're going to need an hour and a half of your time. I have this event to do. I'm going to need you for X amount of time in the evening, so people have a clear understanding of what what the expectation is. And the other big thing for me is offer flexibility around participation. And that really is really trying to create ways in which people can participate on their own schedule. We all have very busy schedules, and as a result of that, we can't commit to a certain times, but we'd love to be participating. I hear this from parents all the time. Yeah, I'd like to participate, but the school council is this time, the event this is happening at this time. I'm working. Well, really to provide opportunities for them to have those. And the other thing is really we don't know sometimes what we don't know. So how do we find this out? And one of the big things is like a suggestion box, survey, so we really get an understanding of what our school communities, what it's about and what their needs actually are and what their desires are and what are the opportunities for them and what are they looking to do moving forward, and especially in terms of the enrichment of their child life. When we speak about the multi-year strategic plan, I speak a lot about belonging and how can we create that for our parents. Okay, now Michelle mentioned this earlier. The school council innovation grant. I know a number of you are working on this, and so this is an update from Shadi Musavi. She's a parent and caregiver community from our parent and community office. The School Council Innovation Grant is now accepting applications. The grant supports innovative projects and activities that engage parents and caregivers and build school council's capacity. In key thematic areas, the grant is accepting applications from October 9th to December 1st. To learn more about the grant, please visit our website, and I'll be putting that in the chat for you. And one of the things too that I'm going to really encourage you is that over a number of years, people have not got their proposals in, or they have not been successful. Really review the application closely. Everything is there for you in terms of what is needed, and look at what the thematic areas are, and really include them in your application to be successful. The other thing I encourage you to do is to ensure that you are able to spend the funds once you're successful, because if you spend less than $100 of that funding, your school will not be eligible to apply for the innovation grant in the next year. Again, if you require any additional information, please email Shadi Musavi, and that's her email, and I'll be putting in the chat. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to talk. Just one moment, please. I'm just going to look in the Q&A to see if there's any questions here. Oh yes, okay. So one of the questions is from Margarita. Yes, of course. School councils meetings can be hybrid. That meeting for in-person in Highland, yes, and that's for yes, absolutely for equity and inclusion. Oh, okay. So where can we get samples of the completed school improvement plans and school statements of needs? We'll be discussing that later in the presentation. And I'll be sharing the link for the grant application. Now, moving forward in terms of our the new things that are happening in the parent caregiver community engagement office. So before we go there, I've got one more poll question for you, and I'll put that. And this question is: which initiatives or events would be helpful to your school council this year? And I'm going to launch, and people have 2 minutes to reply. Thank you. And the other thing about these polls is it is a way of us being able to do our work better and better to serve our school councils, and by having parents identify things on our behalf, like identify things to be shared for us so that we can make changes and really address the needs of our school councils. Thirty seconds left. And thank you for your responses. Poll is now closed. Okay, now we're moving on to our school council training, as somebody had indicated earlier, where to find things. And we have a number of upcoming training sessions. We had school council 101 started yesterday, but the good thing is we have another session on October 26th, starting at 6:30. And in November, we'll be providing our sessions on the school improvement process. There'll be 2 sessions offered there for that. And also the school statement of needs will be 2 sessions, followed by in December, we'll be offering leading and effective engagement, do's and avoids. These sessions are all online. They will all be recorded, so for later on, and we'll all be provided additional instructional materials that you can utilize. And as an example, the School Council 101 is about providing you with the basics in terms of running a school council and providing you with all the links and resources that you would need to run an effective school council. And this is the school improvement plan. And this is a reference guide. This is part of the kit that will be provided to you, which will provide you with how to do listening circles. All those resources will be there for you step by step. I'm also encouraging people, if there's things that you feel unfamiliar with or you think it could be improved, please offer your feedback to it. and I'm just going to explain the SIP is an ongoing process that adapts to the students' evolving needs. It's about shared leadership and collaboration with among staff, students, parents, and caregivers in the community, and the focus on the diverse needs in our within the school community. And one of the big things too is, again, going back to the multi-year strategic plan, is the goals of the school improvement plan are supposed to be embedded. From the multi-year are supposed to be embedded into our into the school improvement process. I keep saying plan because that's what it used to be called, the school improvement process. And that is and so the ideas of equity, ensuring fair treatment, truth and reconciliation, honoring our Indigenous histories, and then reflecting on the multi-year strategic plan values of belonging, which is creating an inclusive and welcoming school environment, then achievement and supporting students to reach their full potential, and thrive for our students to feel that they can graduate with confidence and have the skills and knowledge and support that they need. And then the revitalize is really to the improving our practices and creating a safe environment. Now, this is part of the part of the school statement of needs kit, which is the SSON. And when I'm speaking to the SSON, I'm just going to really speak to what is a framework for the selection and of the school leadership, which is the school principal, and ensuring alignment with the community values. It is important that it promotes transparency, community involvement, and accountability in the decision making. And the other thing is really about empowering parents and caregivers and their voices. And the whole purpose is to really to enhance the school environment and to encourage more diversity and greater participation. And one of the things too that are in terms of that participation, when we have school council, we really got to rely on those funds of knowledge, meaning those skills of our parents to assist us in getting the work done. I speak a lot about parent and engagement and parent involvement and giving people opportunities to participate. And the reason for this is the work at school council can be much easier and lighter if you involve more individuals. And the other thing is, it brings in a new breadth of knowledge by having greater participation. Next slide. Oh, we're at another poll. How can we best assist your school council in the upcoming year? And when I say how can we, that's the parent community engagement office and the board in terms of what we could do to assist parents. And I'll just before I go there, I'm just going to check the Q&A, see if there's any questions. Okay. 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 So Alexandra says parents and guardian care also need to be aware the board gets updated the SIP process, and we no longer have goals, but rather strategic foci updated. So we have been, okay. So that is, I think we've discussed that in this, is that we are covering the specific goals for Indigenous education. So it's a little broader in scope. And from Nina Patel, the workshops on the SSON are in November. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ricardo. So
Yeah.
thanks, Nina. We're going to take a look at that and see if we can
Yeah.
do some shifting and shaving to ensure that we meet that need. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Oh yes, the PowerPoint recording will be sent to you after this recording. And yes, I guess we'll be doing that in October, the SSON. All right. I'm just going to move to the next oh, 1 second. Okay, so going back to how can we assist your school council in the upcoming year? And we're launching, and you have 2 minutes to respond. Thirty seconds left. Thank you very much for your responses. Poll is now closing. I'm just going to go back to the Q&A. Oh, this is a very good question. I'm actually going to defer this to you, Michelle. What happens if the school principal and teachers do not accept the recommendations from the council SIP committee, or the recommendations are not supported by teachers, i.e. teachers feel their solutions will meet objectives and the SIP committee does not agree?
I will speak to that. Sorry, I was trying to get my camera on, but the host has blocked me. So what I will say that the SIP process is led by the principal in consultation with all key stakeholders, meaning teachers, parents, and caregivers, and in some spaces, their principals who also work with students. The idea is try to come up with a collaborative approach based on the data. So the data is really essential at the school level in guiding decisions and directions around what happens within that process. So I think we have a principal online who said the language is now foci. So if the question is about, is the school coming up with the right foci? Simple language, is the rule coming up with the right goal or question? Are we focusing on the right things? Does the priority of parents and caregivers and staff look differently than the priority of the educators? My response to that is that what would happen in a scenario, I know my best recommendation to council and parents and caregivers would be to sit again with staff and to sit again with leadership and look at the data. What is the data telling us about what's happening with students in the school? That's what should be driving the priorities and the directions, right? Because many of us may have opinions, we have thoughts about what we think should happen and want to happen. But this is why I know our staff encourages each school to ensure that you have your data, you're sharing your data with council, so they're aware of what's happening with our students, so the SIP can actually reflect what those needs are. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah, so I've got one from Catherine, and it's regarding the SIP, and they're saying that the school improvement process is happening now, and I'm just going to make everybody cognizant of the fact that if we try to do all the workshops in the same period, we're in competition with other things that are happening at schools. Parents are very busy. You can imagine having two workshops a day. However, we do on the PCCO website, we do have past workshops that you can access in terms of getting this information. My hope is that the ones I'm providing are new and improved, but there are the past ones that will be available to you as well. And that is also for the school improvement process, as well as the school statement of needs. So they're also available online, and you can access them at any time. Thank you.
May I just make a comment, Ricardo? And
Mhm.
it's about a question in the chat, and I'm going to answer it this way. Regulation 612, that is rolled out by the Ministry of Education, which is the policy around school council, states that every school within the Toronto District School Board is to have a school councils. Principals don't get to opt out of that or decide whether that happens or not. So, I want council, parents, caregivers on this line where they may not be a council yet at your school. Leadership can't do this by themselves. They need parents and caregivers who are interested in wanting to participate on council, who wants to be members of council for councils to happen. So if you're at a school where you've not yet seen a school council happen, I encourage you to connect with your principal and work with them in trying to get a council activated, because council can't work without parents and caregivers who are willing to participate. And I know there are a lot of principals who are trying to get parents and caregivers engaged. So I'm hoping if that's your scenario right now, you approach your principal and you work with the principal to try to get the information out and get word out to parents about the importance of council that it plays in the school and the essential role that parent councils plays in advising the school leadership. Thank you.
I'm just looking at one more of the questions. Just wondering if I think I'm going to leave that. Mazda, I think we'll just take that offline because it's specific to a location. Okay, so this is another. I have a comment to make on the school statement of needs and others online so that nobody can stop you. What happens actually if the principal, vice principal and principal take a unilateral decision without consultation with the school council chair?
Let me take that, Ricardo.
Okay, no problem.
The school statement of need is to be completed by the school council and the school council in consultation with parents and caregivers. So here's the process we propose. What happens with the SSON, and this is why it's important that school council chairs, once you're elected, that you encourage the principal to ensure that the superintendent's office gets your email contact, right? This is simplified Because what happens is once the superintendent gets your school council chair contact, the SSON is then emailed directly to you out of the superintendent's office, right? So then it doesn't have to go via the school. Then the principal or vice principal doesn't have to have access to it. You complete it directly at council in consultation with parents and caregivers across the school. Because please keep in mind, the SSON, you need to hear from parents and caregivers about that. And so once the superintendent's office has your email address, this information does not get to the principal at all. It goes directly to you. You complete it in consultation with parents and you submit it directly back to the superintendent's office. So that's one way to bypass if this is happening in spaces where you're getting the sense that the principal and vice principal is responding to the school statement of need. And, you know, if you feel that is happening, then I think it is something you may want to clarify with your principal. Grant your leadership grace, right? In terms of inquiring whether they're aware fully of the process that the SSON is for council and is to be completed by council. And if you find that they are aware, but the practice continues, then it warrants a conversation with the SO to see clarification around the SSON. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm going to also point out is, although we're doing the presentation, some of them later on, the materials are going to be available next week on the PCCO website. So all the information that we're going to be utilizing for those presentations will be available to you. So like I had mentioned earlier, the school statement of needs, information kit will be available for you for next week. The school improvement process and the slides and how to go through the entire process will be available for you next week. So again, I thank parents for pointing out, but that information will be available to you online. And finally, we've got another poll question. What communication method will help you stay informed about your school? And this, one moment, please. Okay, it's been launched and you have 2 minutes to respond. Thank you. Fifteen seconds left. Thank you. The poll is now closing. As I was sitting here watching the poll, I was seeing that the majority of parents and caregivers want emails and I would, as I was seeing that, I was wondering, because sometimes we're hearing that people are not responding to the emails and we're sending out emails, but hopefully we could continue with this and we'll continue with participation. And one of the things I'm going to ask the school council is when things are shared and you receive things, that you take a concerted effort in terms of trying to reach out to other people in the community to make them aware of those things. And I'm actually going to speak further to that in terms of the word of mouth in terms of inviting people is one of the most effective ways of getting participation. So if you can reach out to people in the schoolyard, um, at lunchtime, just to inform parents, your rate of participation will increase vastly. And I've worked with schools where this has happened, and there's data to support that as well. And finally, before we close out, I'd like to just go to the Q&A.
There's one
And,
question, if it's okay, Ricardo, I'd like to answer.
Okay. Mhm.
It is the SSON and the school improvement process intended to be used in as an escalation, since we're submitting them directly to the superintendent? What if we want a formal improvement plan and don't want this to reflect poorly on the principal? I want to be clear, neither of these tools is about principal performance, principal achievement. Actually, the school improvement plan is really about the school and the achievement of students within the school. That's what the plan is. What are the goals that the school is setting for student success, achievement, well-being, whatever that goal is for the school? What is the school strategy in achieving these goals? And how will the school know that they've achieved these goals? This has nothing to do with the principal. It's about students. The school statement of need isn't even really about your principal per se. It's about what happens if your principal retires, or what happens if the principal leaves. This is really about school planning again, where our district wants to be sure that we're connecting with parents and caregivers about what do you think some of the priorities are for your school, and what are some of the key things we should be thinking about when we're thinking about the leadership for your school. So please, neither of these schools are connected to performance or practice of the school, all of the principal. These two things are solely about the school and student achievement and success within the school. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just going to summarize a comment, and that in terms of the emails that parents are getting, and they're becoming overwhelmed with all the digital communication, and there is an ask for paper flyers to be sent home. That's cost prohibitive, and in some of the certain circumstances it is done, but I do understand that desire. And I too, even for me, I like paper. I prefer to read books than read online. But I understand that the desire, but we also have to be cognizant of the costs and for some people, they would also remind me of that cost to the environment. So I'm just going to look again. Okay. No, the presentation cannot be sent to the chat, but it will be available online. Oh, a listening circle is an opportunity for parents to engage in a conversation, an open conversation, and that information an explanation will be provided online to parents. As I said, our presentations will be available for everyone next week. And
Ricardo, could I answer that question quickly?
Yes.
I was just typing out an answer.
oh yes,
It'd be easier if I
yes.
did that.
Yeah, can you just introduce yourself, Nancy?
Yeah, hi, I'm Nancy Angevine Sands. I am a family engagement consultant with the organization with Equal Step, and I'm contracted with the PCCEO to support school councils. Just very quickly, a listening circle is an opportunity for councils to hear from their parent and caregiver and their broader community if they want to include them on specific issues. So doesn't necessarily take place at a school council meeting. It could take place during the day. It could take place online, however it works. It would have a specific question that you wanted to talk about. So for example, if you held a listening circle around the school improvement process, the question might be around well-being. What are your thoughts about well-being at the school? It's an opportunity for parents to come, have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a glass of pop, and just spend an hour talking with each other about their experiences, about their knowledge, their ideas. Sometimes you might want to have a brief presentation from the principal or a teacher about a topic. Say you want to talk about bullying, for example. They would then come and give a brief presentation, but brief is important because this is an opportunity to listen to the parents and caregivers. You have to have somebody who would chair the meeting, and you might choose to have someone who would take minutes. The only reason they're taking notes, I'm going to say take notes, is so that what you learn at the listening circle goes back to the council and influences what the council will do moving forward. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things that Nancy had mentioned is that it's not a school council meeting, so it does not have to be held on school. It could be held at a library or elsewhere, or just held online. But it doesn't have to involve a principal or anyone else in that. It's for you to have this. Oh, I'm just going to answer. Is there a list of issues that can be brought up? Oh, I need some clarification. I'm wondering if when they're speaking, when they're saying the list of issues that can be brought up, are you speaking to the in regards to listening circles? And I guess one of the things in terms of, as long as it's around school council and it's not about individual issues, like student issues, yeah, I guess those issues can be brought up. I don't know, Michelle, if you want to speak further to that.
If
Or
I
Nancy?
heard Nancy correctly, the listening circle is one way of a tool for council to engage parents and caregivers around the SIP. The idea around the SIP is that you are providing feedback to the school around what some of those goals or priorities should be from a parent and caregiver lens. So within the context of that conversation, parents and caregivers absolutely can provide your thoughts around what you think that should be. So the next sentence for me on that is, when you provide that thought and council collects that and shares it with the principal for the fuller process, then that information is then taken, presented and looked at in terms of what the data is presenting in terms of the school. Where are the students at? Where are the success points? Where are the gaps? Where are the challenges? Where the data of the school speaks to that. So that's when your thoughts and your suggestions, your feedback, teachers' thought, teacher suggestions, feedback, students' thoughts, student suggestions, feedback, all of that is then filtered through what is the data telling us about where we should be to then determine what that plan is going to be for the SIP. So in the spaces of your conversations, you absolutely are able to put forth what you think some of those priorities are to be for the school improvement plan.
Okay. Okay, and I guess with this, I'd like to thank everyone for your participation in our first school council town hall. If you require further information or have any suggestions, please contact myself and my email, or you could contact me by phone. That's it. With any Nancy or Michelle, would you like to offer any conclusions to this?
I would, Ricardo, thank you. I'd like to extend always my thanks and appreciation to all of those of you who stayed to the end. Thank you so much. I wish you a fabulous and productive year this year with council. If there's any way that our office can assist you in making it smoother and easier and helpful, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're a small office, so we may not be as immediate as you need us to be, but please connect with us. Ricardo and Nancy's here to support and answer your questions. And I just have to push two things. One, if you've now had council and you don't have bylaws, I need you to prioritize this work for your council, because this is a best practice to ensure the legacy of council continues. It's difficult for parents to start council and not know what council is, what they're supposed to do, what the roles are. But if you have bylaws for your school council, that helps your new members, your existing members, but also parents and caregivers understand what you do. And my last plug, please mark your calendar, Saturday, November the 16th, Parent Caregivers as Partners Conference. Visit our webpage, and I certainly look forward to seeing most of you there. Wishing you a wonderful evening, everyone.
Good night.